Would love to know your impressions on the Knicks going into the regular season.
Yeah, I think the way that they finished preseason has been exciting. The truth is, the Knicks have not been the best team in basketball for a while now. I guess since I got traded, but we don't need to talk about that now. It's still a sore spot for me. That's fine. No, but they have finished the preseason strong. Quickley, Immanuel Quickley is playing great basketball. He had 25 points in the last game of the preseason. R.J. Barrett has been consistent. We've seen some really nice glimpses of Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin hasn't done anything crazy, but he's been consistent. He's had some highlight reel plays, and it's really nice to see that energy. I know they played Detroit. I know they played Cleveland, not the two best teams in the NBA. But you know what? If you're the New York Knicks and you're young and you're trying to build momentum and get into the regular season playing well, then more power to you. They've shown glimpses of being able to do some really exciting things, and I think that's what you want to see. Kevin Knox was 6 for 7 from 3 in the last game of the preseason, so they have created momentum. My Milwaukee Bucks lost every preseason game. They don't seem to have a ton of momentum going into the regular season, so to be honest, it's kind of nice to see what the Knicks are doing.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that Novi, because preseason can be tricky, but it's a great opportunity to get a glimpse. Now, you mentioned Immanuel Quickley, point guard of the future for the Knicks. What are your thoughts on that, Novi?
Yeah, I think he passes the eye test to me. Yes, in game 1 and game 2 of the preseason, barely played. 9 minutes in the second game, didn't even play in the first game. But then all of a sudden, in the fourth game of preseason, he's having 25 points. He's the starting point guard. Yes, because of injuries, because of other guys being out. But he stepped up to the plate. He showed what he can do when the lights are bright. And that's what you want to see from a young guy is, can he handle himself? Can he run the team? Can he score the ball when someone else is hurt and he can get out there and needs to step up and do something? He showed he can. He has played at Kentucky under the bright lights. He's been yelled at by Coach Calipari. He can take it. I think Coach Tibbs is going to stay on him, but he's also been very complimentary of Immanuel Quickley and his presence on the court for just a young guy.
There might be a revolt in New York City if Quickley isn't starting point guard by tip-off because he's got this fan base excited. Speaking of Tibbs, man, you mentioned that, Quickley's been yelled at Calipari, you've been yelled at by Tom Thibodeau. He can take it, he can handle it. We all hear these tall tales of the incredibly tough Tibbs and how grit and grind he is. And now he's embracing analytics. He's coming into the 21st century about that. What are your thoughts on Tom Thibodeau leaning more on analytics and plus minuses now?
Yeah, it does sound a bit crazy when you say Coach Thibodeau is embracing analytics. He goes to the MIT Sloan conference with Daryl Morey and studies analytics. I'm not sure he's all the way bought into them, and I don't think that's a bad thing. He is who he is. He is a little bit old school. He likes to measure things on passion and defense and things that aren't always able to be broken down into an analytic. And I think that's okay. That's the style that he coaches. That's the personality that he is. But there is no doubt he is one of the most prepared coaches, one of the most hard-nosed coaches that there is in the NBA. And he prepares. And if he prepares, he is certainly looking at analytics and statistics and breakdowns. How can his team be better? And so I think when he talks about embracing analytics, he is, of course, looking at numbers and willing to see what his guys in the analytics department are telling him. We need to consider this important, and he'll listen to them. There's no doubt about that. He wants to win as bad as anybody, but I don't think you're going to see him go full analytics mode anytime soon.
I feel like there are few greats in any league that 100%, maybe baseball might be the one asterisk, that are 100%, I'm stuck in insert whatever quality approach from yesteryear, and I don't even acknowledge the way things are done in 2020. Not that you have to revert from what made you great, but there has to be room to acknowledge it a little bit. And so I'm just super curious about how Tibbs is able to combine all of that and really get these young guys going. I keep thinking back to what he was able to do with Derrick Rose back in the day, Novi, and I'm super excited for the young cats in particular.
Yeah, I think Coach Thibodeau does have a reputation, like you're saying, Monica, for not liking young guys, not being willing to play them. But this is the New York Knicks. This is a young team. He has absolutely no choice. And there is no doubt when he signed up to be the coach of this team, he understood this is a youthful group. He's going to need to play young guys. And that reputation is not all the way fair. If that is what he's given, he is going to coach them just like they're his veterans. He's going to hold them accountable. He knows he's going to have to live with a little bit more mistake making and youngness, whatever you really want to call it. But he will absolutely hold these guys accountable and coach them just as tough. Coach Thibodeau was my assistant when I played for the Houston Rockets under Jeff Van Gundy. He had Yao Ming out on the court, first guy every single practice, 2 hours before the practice, shooting thousands and thousands of hook shots. And I think he's going to coach these guys just like that and continue to try to develop the youth that they have in New York right now.
Let's stay on the topic of youth here, because obviously in the time of yesteryear when the Knicks were lighting the city up, you were a young rookie starting to get some time with the New York Knicks, and this Knicks team is going to lean on a lot of youth, especially the rookies Obi Toppin and Immanuel Quickley. What was the biggest adjustment going from the preseason to the regular season when it became apparent that you are going to be a young player playing a lot on this team?
Yeah, preseason, when you're a young guy, there's no doubt you are trying to take in everything you can. You are trying to learn the offense. You're trying to get familiar with your teammates. You're all of a sudden in the NBA trying to figure out what that feels like. So I think as a young guy, preseason is a really nice warm-up for you to feel what it's like, the speed, and what you're going to need to do in order to play in the regular season. But there's no doubt as you get older, as there's more veterans, preseason is really a tune-up, a warm-up, a conditioning exercise for you. You don't put too much emphasis on the preseason. You realize it's important to create camaraderie and get some wins, which I think the New York Knicks have done as a young group. But I think there's no question the eagerness that you've seen from the Knicks has been a big part of why they've been able to win these 4 games. And Coach Tibbs coaches that way. He wants these guys winning every single game. He was my summer league coach when I was with the Houston Rockets. I don't think Coach Tibbs ever lost a summer league game. If we look back, his summer league record is the most ridiculous record, I think, of any coach of all time. But that's just how he coaches. And he's not going to tell these young guys, don't worry about the preseason. He's going to tell them, if you play well in preseason, you're going to play well in the regular season. And I think that's the right approach.
Summer league. Another thing that was a casualty of 2020. But I do have this question, though, Novi. Preseason.
Miss Vegas.
This year, with limited to no fans in arenas, it clearly is going to be the intensity ratcheting up between preseason and regular season games. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how comparable was preseason this year, since this year is going to be so unique?
Yeah, basketball continues to be different. There is no doubt. The bubble was different basketball. There is a little asterisk, no matter how you look at it, whether it was easier for some people or harder for some people. But when you do not have home court, when you do not have home fans, let's just not lie to each other. That environment is totally different. And so road wins are not going to be the same. It is easier to win on the road when there are not 20,000 people that are screaming at you and hate you if you're a road team. So without fans there, the environment's different, but the NBA, as far as I'm concerned, is doing the absolute best that they can. They are keeping guys healthy. They are getting guys to play. And I think that's all you can ask as an NBA fan. And there's no doubt that there's going to be fans at some point with the vaccines rolling out. And some teams and some jurisdictions already have some fans going to games, which is a really good sign.